Welcome back. In today's session, we're going to be talking about prioritization as a virtual assistant. As a virtual assistant, this is a key skill to learn. Most of us struggle with prioritization, and this is not because we're not capable, but because we're trying to do everything all at once. I've been there too, and in this video, I'll show you the 3 steps I use to prioritize smarter, deliver better results, and actually stay sane. Here's the truth. Without prioritization, every task feels urgent. That leads to stress, rushed work, and missed deadlines. And that's not what we want because your client is not paying for you to be busy. They want impact. When you prioritize well, you reduce overwhelm and decision fatigue, you align your work with your client's goal, and save time and energy. And then you build trust through consistency and quality delivery, which is key in your partnership with your client. And it also creates space for growth. And that exactly is what we're going to be breaking down through this process. So, my 3 step framework, which I use, and I wish I knew earlier about this before I started becoming a virtual assistant, is step 1, get context of the task that you have. Step 2, prioritize smartly. And then step 3 is deliver quality. We're going to go through these steps one by one. So, step 1 is to get more context about the task. When a client delegates a task to you, don't just jump straight in. Pause and ask some questions to get clarifications. This will avoid conflict between you and the client in future once the task is already done. And some of the questions you can ask your client is, why is this important? This is just to enable you to know the goal to which this task is attached to. You don't have to phrase the questions like this. You have to strategize and find a way you can get the answers to these questions. So the next question you can ask is, how should it be done? This is the process. Most of the time, you don't have to ask this question because when a client hires you, they believe that you have the skills to do this process. But when you ask the question of how success looks like to them after the task is done, it will enable you to know what areas you don't have expertise on and get clarifications from them if this is how you will do he would want you to do it. Then also don't forget to ask, when is the due date? This will enable you to know the deadline of the task so that you don't fall behind or make the client miss out on a deadline. So let's say, for example, the client has requested me to schedule Instagram posts for the next month. So I will come to ClickUp. This is ClickUp, and I will create a task card. So to create a task card, you can either click add task over here or you can click it over here. So once you click on that, you can write the name of the task and then you can save that. So I have already created it here. So once you create it, you open it, and to add the details of what is entailed of you for the task, you can add the details here on the description. So let me just tell you explain more on how this looks like. So this is the task card, and the status here, we have different status for the tasks that you have on your list. So this is the status that I always use with my clients, but it also depends with the client's preferences. Most of the time you find that they have tools already there that they're using, so you don't have to actually create this from scratch. So what happens is we have different status that the task moves through. So for this one, I have backlog. Backlog is a status whereby clients suggest tasks for you, or maybe during the beginning of the month, you have tasks that or ideas that come from him that he plans to maybe initiate in future. So we add them here on backlog and have a look at them every month at the beginning or towards the end when you are reviewing our tasks. And then we have to do. To do, these are tasks that I'm supposed to do for the week. So once a week starts, I move some of the tasks that are from backlog after we have discussed with the clients and add them to do, and also any new tasks that come up for the week. So they are in to do. And then today, these are tasks that I'm supposed to do on that specific day. And then in progress, so they move from status to status. So in progress, these are tasks that I'm working on at the moment. Needs review are any task that needs you have already worked on and maybe they need review from your client or anyone in the team. And then you have completed. So once you complete a task, you can mark it as completed and it's added here. So once it's completed, at the end of the week, we look at the task, or the end of the month, we look at the tasks with the client. You might find that this task is part of a bigger picture. So there is another step that needs to come after you have completed the task, and it will lead to a new task coming up. So before we mark mark that task as closed, we always have a review session for all the tasks. Yeah, so those are the status that I use. And then assignees, this is whoever the task is assigned to. So you can assign anyone, or if it is assigned to you, your name will be tagged here. Dates, so for the deadline, as I mentioned, this is when you can add your deadlines. Let's say for the scheduling Instagram posts, it's needed by Friday. And you can also add the time depending on when you're supposed to be done with it. And then we have priorities. So for priorities, I will go into details in step 2. So this is placed according to importance and urgency. So we have 4 priorities, and I will go through that later. And then we have time estimate, how much time you think you can do this, you can use to complete this task. Here is a section where you can track your time. This is to tag the task to any other projects that you're working on. Maybe it's part of a project in social media, so you can tag that here so it aligns with the goals. And then relation, this is where you can tag if there is any other task that is also related to this one. And then for the outcomes or any details that you need to do for the task at hand, for instance for scheduling Instagram posts, you can add them here. This will enable you to have full details of what is needed from you before you even begin. So step 2 is to prioritize smartly. Not every task has the same weight. So here are 3 methods you can use to help you align your task and also the client tasks. First, you need to align with the project. Every client has projects running for a period of time, and for every project, there are tasks aligned to each and every one of them. Remember when I showed you on ClickUp, we have a backlog? These are ideas or tasks that are aligned with specific projects that the client is working on. And you get to have a look at them every beginning of the month so that you can align and know this week we have to focus on these tasks. So it's up to you as the assistant to look at some of the backlogs before even you have your end of month meeting with your client to align for next month, so that you don't spend so much time working and looking at different tasks, and maybe there are even 100 tasks over there. So it gives your client a lot of work going through each and every task, so it gives you even more points, and you seem like a proactive assistant when you take the time to look at these tasks and align them with projects that the client is working on during the next month or during a specific quarter or during the year. Another method is using the Eisenhower matrix. This aligns tasks in terms of urgency and importance. Now that you have your list of tasks, it's now time to prioritize them in terms of urgency and importance. We have quadrant 1, which is urgent and important, and these are tasks that you need to do now. And by now, I mean today. These are tasks that directly affect your client's deadline. For example, crisis management, maybe correcting errors in a client's document, or confirming meeting details before a call. So here the action is you do them immediately or by day's end and communicate the completion quickly. Quadrant 2 are important but not urgent tasks. These are high value tasks that don't have immediate deadlines but build long term systems and save future time. For example, creating SOPs for repetitive tasks, setting up automations for your client's CRM, or even drafting next week's social media posts. So, the action here is to schedule these tasks and work on them during low pressure hours. Quadrant 3 are urgent and not important tasks. These feel pressing but don't require full focus of your time. If you can't delegate them further, maybe to someone else, you get to streamline them. So, this is like filtering inbox emails or scheduling social media posts that is after approval from someone else, or even creating routine reports for your client. So, for these tasks, you either automate if possible or do them in batches to save time on your end. This can be done during your focus time. Quadrant 4 are not urgent and not important tasks. So, as I said, they are tasks that you add to the backlog. So, most of the time, these are tasks that you have to align with your client, whether you should add them on the backlog or how you should handle them before the following week or the following month. So, as I had mentioned, this is the section you're going to be using in terms of prioritization. So, we have 4 priority over here. We have urgent, high, normal, and low. So for urgent, these are urgent and important tasks. High, these are not urgent but important tasks. These are the ones you get to schedule. And then you have normal. These are urgent but not that important tasks that you can get to automate within your system. And then we have low, which is in quadrant 4. So this you get to discuss with your clients the way forward. Another method is the 1-3-5 rule. This is what I use for daily planning. That is one big task, three medium ones, and then five small ones. This enables me to utilize my day quite well, especially when I don't have crisis to handle for my client. This is where many virtual assistants drop the ball. Clients don't just want tasks checked off the list, they want quality outcomes. In ClickUp, I move my tasks from different status as I had shown you. And when I mark something as done, I attach proof on it, like screenshots. And then I also still communicate the same with my client at the end of the day. This way, my client stays updated and also sees that the task is not just done, it's done well, and it builds trust between you and your client. With these three steps and ClickUp as your tool, you can go from overwhelmed to organized as an assistant to your client and deliver results that actually matter. Now it's your turn to set up your own prioritization workflow in ClickUp and start using it with your client today, or even practice it if you are still working, if you still don't have a client. Let me know if you would like me to do a video on ClickUp just to give you details into how to use it even more. And if this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe for more VA productivity tips, and let me know in the comment section which prioritization method would you use in your daily routine. See you in the next one.